Okay, I'm over it. Want to get some coffee? Yeah, I could get some coffee. Let's go get some coffee.
Hi, everyone. We have a special guest tonight, Carrie Roy, one of the producers of the film, that's going to stand up here and answer any questions that you might have. So here she is.
Okay. And there are a few other folks. Damien, I see you hiding back there. If you guys want to join me, feel free. Frankie's here. Some of the participants. Who else is here? Alex? Where's
Damien, you have to come up or else I'll feel all weird.
Yeah. Yeah, just come on up. Because it's just me. Usually Alexander's here, and you guys can give me some street cred. Thanks for coming. You guys were a great crowd. It's a, gosh, it's a 7 o'clock small little crowd, but you guys were great and laughing. I saw some hands go up for the holiday special who'd seen it. I thought that was pretty funny. Do you have any questions?
Are you a Star Wars fan?
Am I?
Yeah.
I guess technically I was one of those 7-year-old kids who saw it for the first time and remember that whole sensation, and I remember all of that. And what's really funny is that some of the rest of the folks on the crew, Alexander, who directed, actually is a huge collector. I mean, he has the cases full of stuff, and my husband is a huge fan. And what's really funny now are that my kids are actually among those that really enjoy the prequels, And you guys are fans, obviously.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'm in kind of a weird generation spot with the whole thing. Because I'm 25, so when I was 10, that was when the special edition trilogy was released. So that was and there was a big push of new toys and re-merchandising during that period. So that was kind of it was when that re-release of the original trilogy on VHS, that like the last release that is original.
Right.
That was when I discovered Star Wars, and so the special edition didn't really strike me as all that odd. It was just kind of like, oh, nice, like, 'cause I didn't know the cultural underpinning of the whole thing. Right. But 13 when Phantom Menace came out, and yeah, 2 or 3 viewings later, I found out what a bad movie was.
So I'm 37, so I was like prime audience for the original movies, and took the later ones kind of personally.
Some of my favorite moments of you guys in the film. Anyone else?
So what has been Lucas's response? Has he seen this?
I don't think that he has, because up until now, we've been at pretty much all of the screenings. Now that distribution is starting, who knows, maybe he can slip in. I just think he'd kind of be noticed in the crowd, I'm guessing. But no, he hasn't seen it. Lucasfilm did call after our premiere, or actually they emailed after our premiere at South by Southwest and asked if we might send them a DVD. And we politely declined, but offered to go screen it for them. And I know Alexander's always said, and I thought that this was really important, because he wanted to make the film with a great deal of integrity. And he said, I want to be able to make a film that I could sit on a couch next to George Lucas and watch it with him and not be ashamed. This is important stuff, and it's cultural stuff, and that's what we're discussing. So I think I think we accomplished that. We'd love him to see it. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd really love to hear his reaction to the question when the guy said, did you see that South Park where you raped Indiana Jones? Because he apparently was a fan of the Family Guy and Robot Chicken parodies, right?
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'd love to know what his reaction to the South Park was.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard a little, a rumor that, and I want to get this right, but I heard that there was a little rumor that the folks at Spielberg's house were actually having some kind of party or slumber party or something like that, and we're watching it.
Oh yeah, they were pissed.
Yeah.
It was. I think that was when they. It was the first time South Park lambasted them. I think it was when they were re-releasing Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was like kind of the first time those guys made fun of them. But then when they raped them, and they just took it that much further. I just love that it's like. There's some pretty sacrilege stuff in those Robot Chicken and Family Guy episodes that I hear Lucasfilm had some trouble with, like the amount of violence and It's a Trap and whatnot. But I just love that South Park's like, you can't even sort of be in on the joke. We're gonna make you the worst criminal ever. It's fun to be mad.
Yeah. It's hard to watch,
It really was hard to watch in that theater that day.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the raid.
It seemed like you had a lot of interviews from very disparate sources.
Yes.
And so I was wondering how much time you spent on that and how much you traveled.
You know, you think, I'm going to ask the folks to put together percentages on this because I don't know exactly a lot. We spent, it's been 4 years. This has been a 4-year odyssey. We had 600 hours of footage.
Wow.
And what you saw was, 92, 93 minutes? And it feels like a quarter of that are the credits.
When did they shoot your interview?
Yeah, it was
It's all
like
blur.
3 years ago, don't you think?
Yeah, might have been, yeah.
Mine was October '08, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a long journey, and so, and we hope you can tell which interviews we shot. A lot of people submitted footage, you know, just on because we put a post out and a request and said, please send us in anything you want to say. And we took it very seriously. Every single frame that was sent to us was watched. Nothing wasn't. So everything was watched, and that was a lot to go through. The one thing I will say, one of my favorite, Edward Hines, the guy at the end, you know, in the know, that guy. God love him. He sent 7 hours. I watched it all. And what he did in a very loving way, because you can tell how much, I mean, he has so much anger, but he has so much love. And I think that he was such, he's almost the poster boy for the whole debate, because he kept going back and forth, and he went through, it was a commentary of every film. Was literally from start to finish of every film. And he acted out some scenes, and he, you know, I kept calling Alexander saying, it's still going. It's still going.
Did it keep your attention at all?
It did. I also had to go for walks. It was a little upsetting. But yeah, no, it was, I mean, that's why he's in it. He's very, very funny and poignant. So anyway.
I have a question.
Yeah. Oh, better here.
Is there something about being a documentary that lets you get to use the real Star Wars footage without getting permission?
Yes. There's something that the Center for Social Media put together. It's called the Best Practices in Fair Use. And it was a guide that's put together for documentary filmmakers to understand just how much footage can be used, because it's used for critique or for discussion or education, and you'll use only enough, I mean, only enough to make your point. And there are people much smarter than I, lawyers, who reviewed every frame, and then you get a sign off on that.
But that doesn't extend to your press art? Is that what you're finding?
Oh, there is, oh, are you asking about the poster?
Yeah.
That's the old one's coming back.
Really? Oh, okay.
Hallelujah. Yeah, that's a sore subject right now. I'm not going to hold any punches on that. The film has picked up distribution, which is why we're here, so that's good news. And oftentimes, if you know about the business at all, sometimes what happens is, you know, the image is changed once that happens, and that becomes a new face. So they started talking about doing that, and it was really a lot of discussion on what that was going to be. And then there was kind of a last-minute rush, and then they put out that. And, you know, I've got to share something that was kind of funny. The guys in the lobby, I was just talking to them out there, and they said, what do you want us to do with all these posters? And I look, and there's a whole pallet of them out there. A pallet. I'm not kidding you. And they're like, whatever happened to the other one? And I said, yeah, you know.
What was
It's
the other?
the other one is it's something that we commissioned specifically, and it's by an artist named Jason Seeler, who is amazing. You can Google him. He does incredible stuff. And it's also the image that's on our, well, I think it's still on our website. I don't know. It's a beautiful, it's a caricature of George and a fan, an adoring fan and an angry fan, kind of side by side. And it's original. Every single bit of it's original, but it looks photorealistic, you know, aside from the fact that it's kind of a caricature and kind of, you know, morphed. But yeah, it had a lot of character and a lot of heart, and it was commissioned. And Jason does these type of celebrity paintings and he's so talented. So I suggest you look him up. What else? What else? I'm trying to think.
I thought the movie was very good. What was your motivating factor, your main motivating factor for wanting to make it?
Yeah, and again, as a producer, I was asked by Alexander to join on and to help. So it was his concept, yeah, as the director. As a fan, I think this is something that he really struggled with, and it was a conversation that you always have it, right? I mean, you guys are my fan street cred right here. It's a conversation that fans have and have been having for years and years and years, and it was something that he had really internalized, and it was something he wanted to explore, and was working on a job, taking a dinner break with Robert Muratori, who's the director of photography and also one of the producers, one of my co-producers, and he was saying, gosh, this is something I'd like to do, and I've had this title in my mind forever. I don't even know where this idea came from. And Robert said, oh my God, you got to do it. Because they were arguing over dinner about who knows what, any of those points, they were arguing about it. So that was his motivation. He said, you know, let's explore it. Let's see what people have to say. And we have found, you know, we've been on the festival circuit for over a year now. We premiered in March of 2010 at South by Southwest. And people leave the theater and they'll say to him, thank you, I feel like I was just in a therapy session, you know? They just want to explore it. So I think that was the motivation. And I think also the idea of the ownership of art, you know, and the cultural preservation aspect. I mean, that was very interesting to me personally, especially because of, we were told, you know, the Library of Congress did communicate with us by email, and we were told that it does exist, that original, you know, the original films exists, the 1977 version on the shelf. But if you know anything about film, that, I mean, having it sit there is not going to do any good. It's got to be preserved, and so that's the key, and that's, I don't know, I take that personally as a filmmaker.
There's another wrinkle to the National Archives. Supposedly, someone has to actually go there to confirm if the copy in the library is the actual 77. So the same thing's going to happen with the title this year.
That will make me sad because that's my favorite. But you're right, that there's a lot of controversy over that. People discuss, and which is why we said to the archivist there, you know, is it the original? And they replied yes, but who's looked at? Supposedly you can go and ask to see it. Supposedly. I don't know.
But they kill you.
It's like, they keep it in that, the warehouse where Indiana Jones stuff is, I think.
Yeah. You become part of a big wide shot.
Right. Trying to think if there's anything else I can tell you, any tidbits.
There was a, you saw the bit about the Paley Center screening the holiday special. Alexander and Robert actually asked me to come out and shoot some of that footage and cover the event, because it was, you know, it was this big internet voted thing, totally made its way to the Paley Center. And I asked a friend who lived in New York, could you go out and shoot this for these guys? They really, really need this covered, and they're nowhere to be found. And he went. It was a snowstorm, and he was the only one who showed up. So there was, I think there's definitely an element in, you know, the footage that I saw was him just going back to the bathroom because the Paley Center won't let cameras in there. So that footage is kind of, they just kept going to the bathroom being like,
there's nobody here still, and I haven't seen this movie before, but I can't believe it's on a screen.
But I think there's a huge element of irony to this whole thing. That I know it is for me when I made the cartoons, you know, Lord of the Rings by George Lucas. It was like, it's fun to be pissed off.
The work, Frankie did the, you know, if I want to paint my house Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that cartoon.
I want to paint my house green.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I was told you do a good George impersonation. Alexander said ask Frankie to do that.
I do a funny George impression. I don't know if it's good. It's entertaining enough to get by, but no, that was the center of that cartoon for sure. Which was I was really, that struck me as really odd. This idea that you know, that'd be like saying that, you know, the director of Thor now has, you know, Kenneth Branagh. It's his movie, so don't criticize it. Because it's his. You know, let him do whatever he wants with his movie. We don't really extend that favor to anybody but George, it seems.
Well, and I think one of the things that's been really interesting is usually when artists are critiqued, it's post-mortem, right? So I think what's interesting about this is that, this is a discussion happening now, with his contemporaries, and that's kind of interesting.
What was the Coppola interview from?
Oh, it's from, you guys know it. What's it from?
From Star Wars to Jedi.
What, say it again?
From Star Wars to Jedi? Or
It
one of
might
those
have been.
early
It was
90s
one of the,
docs.
I could look up, and I don't remember exactly which one it was. My God, you stumped me. Like 3 years ago. But yeah, the last time I saw this was in October, and I'm like, oh my God. But I'll look it up. I don't remember exactly what it is. I'll let you know. I know her, so I can email her the answer. It's one of the behind-the-scenes stuff. And, oh, you had a question.
Out of 600 hours, a friend of mine apparently made the final cut.
Oh, good. Which one?
His name is Jeff Warner. He lives in Burlington, Vermont. What can I tell him about when? I don't think he can get down here. When could he?
When can he see it? Unofficially, DVDs will be coming out for sure. What's happening right now with distribution is we're being given a week in some of these large metropolitan areas. New York and LA open this weekend. Chicago opens Memorial Day weekend. Denver, we're primarily a Denver-based crew, and so we're going to get a week there in June. And they keep kind of adding them on. So what he should do is go to peopleversusgeorge.com and click on screenings, and we update it as often as we can. Sometimes it's a little confusing, and sometimes it doesn't exactly tell you where or when, but we're very active on the Facebook and Twitter page, and we answer if you have questions. So we'll do our best. But I'm not sure if a theatrical will happen up in Vermont, but DVDs, and they won't be that far away. I suspect they're going to be tied to another.
If you're just a Star Wars fan, you've got to follow these guys on Facebook and Twitter because they just keep posting the coolest, weirdest, where did that come from links. It's just been a lot of fun.
There's a lot. In the 600 hours, let's just say there's a lot for extras. A lot. There's a lot of good stuff.
How many extras will be on the DVD?
Gosh, we provide, that's going to be up to the distributor. Lionsgate is going to distribute the DVDs. So, but we provided them with a goodly amount, for sure.
Considering that you have 600 hours worth of stuff, and to a certain extent the movie represents fans, were there any fans that it was like, wow, this person's just too creepy? Because it brings out the worst in people.
Yeah, I don't know about the footage so much because I think you have to respect the passion. I think if we weren't going to do that, how could I don't know. You just have to respect it. But I will say, if we want to talk about creepy, is that we did receive some death threats. That was a little creepy.
I get them all the time. From the cartoons really do generate some serious hatred.
It's amazing. Yeah. And it's funny because we talk so much about the hate from the detractors here, but some of the supporters are. That was scary.
So what was their bone?
Oh, this was right after we announced we were doing the film. I think one of the things, our title, it
connotes negativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's be real. It's a title, and that's great. Marketing. We want to get people excited and react one way or the other. But we usually come out responding. This is a documentary about the people versus George Lucas. We're not the people versus George Lucas. We're the filmmakers telling you about these people.
The trial sequences. I assume that was shot for. That was not from the documentary.
No, that was that's fan work. So much of these examples, and I think that's what's so powerful about this, is that these are, in many cases, existing works. Some of them were made to submit to our film specifically, but yeah, a lot of that just comes from fan works, and there is such. If you have any interest in this at all, the fan edits. Bountiful. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a whole nother realm of creativity that They didn't realize. And then there's some, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we didn't get into, but there's some of these, you mean that Endor Woods thing? It was kind of, you know, PG compared to some of the stuff that exists. I mean, it gets, you know, interesting, to say the least. I'm so cold. I'm shivering. Anybody? Anybody?
So what's the DVD cover going to be? That?
We'll see who wins. We'll see who wins that battle. I was trying to figure out what to tell them to do with the palette of posters out there. You might want to get them before they disappear. You can take them home if you want. I don't know. I'm not going to bring one back for Alexander. He'll be mad. Anybody? Well, thanks so much for coming out. I know I raced to get here, so we appreciate it. Thank you. Tell your friends. We're here for a week.
We're here all the week.
Tip your waitress.
This is my first time.
I had a little bit of touch-up.